If you grew up in a Greek or a Balkan community, or around a Greek or Balkan community, you might be familiar with the martis. The martis is a cord which you wear for the month of March. Traditionally, it's red and white. This year, it's actually, for me, black and white, or really dark blue and white. It was simply all I could get at the moment. And oddly enough, this is the colour of the goddess Nyx, who is a very, very ancient deity who rules dreams. And I have been working in my spirituality with lucid dreaming and with sacred dreaming, a topic for another discussion. But the month of March is an interesting month, as in the ancient world, the lesser mysteries of the Eleusinian were celebrated in February. The greater mysteries were, of course, celebrated in September. But to attend those, you had to attend the lesser mysteries. And you would wear a sacred cord with red and white, usually, and you would partake of ritual foods. And most notably, the ritual food you will partake of is barley. And the origin of this custom is obscure. And so we can engage in speculation, but we can't definitively say. Even if it comes to us in visions, that is revelatory knowledge and it's not based upon evidence. And so we have to keep the two separate. If within your own personal revelations you have received it, then these are mysteries, and I will neither refute them, which I should not, nor will I explore them because, well, I haven't had them revealed to me in that sense. But I have observed the ritual of the martis for quite a while now. And during this month, I partake of barley. In so doing, I connect myself to these ancient mysteries. And the role of mysteries is an important one, and one that gets some attention in modern scholarship, quite a bit, but in modern spirituality to a lesser extent. And this is a pity. It is understandable because the ancient mysteries, both of the Eleusinian and the related mysteries of the Orphic mysteries, their connection is an interesting one, were until maybe the 4th, 5th century of the Common Era still being practiced, albeit after about the 3rd century of the Common Era, under increasing restrictions and increasing persecution. But neither of these mysteries were ever betrayed. Indeed, when the emperor of the Eastern Empire moved to declare the Eleusinian mysteries, a Christian bishop actually wrote to him going, please do not take these mysteries which give us hope and faith in the life eternal from us. Show that even Christians were still being initiated. Hence, most probably, why the full force of the state was brought down to cease the practice of these mysteries, to break the continuity. Now, the actual rituals and rites of these mysteries then descended into the mists of the universe. the mists of history, and we cannot know. But certainly amongst the Orphic mysteries, we have a very special treasure. And there's the Orphic Rhapsody, which is an Orphic theogony, and also the Orphic Hymns. And these are important because despite the endless discussions about these hymns were used in ritual, definitely, that these spoke ancient sacred truths, most definitely. But other than that, we don't know. And where we found them, we're pretty sure that the Orphic mysteries, the Orphic hymns, were more than likely observed in Pergamum, which is in Asia Minor, modern Turkey, which was part of the Greek world at this time, and seemed to have been practiced within the sanctuary of Demeter, or Demeter. Now, this is where it becomes a little interesting, because Demeter, of course, is the mother of Persephone. And both of these goddesses are the focus of the Eleusinian mysteries. And both Orphic myth and the Eleusinian mysteries relate to the descent into the underworld, the descent into the realm of Hades, and the coming back with sacred wisdom. Except the focus in one is Persephone and Demeter, and the focus in the other seems to have been Dionysius. And the prophet of these mysteries was, of course, Orpheus, hence the Orphic mysteries. Now, in this, the connections become more and more interesting. The Eleusinian mysteries were protected by laws of the state, both of Greece and of Rome. The Orphic mysteries were kept secret because of the profound spiritual belief. And both of them had a transformative effect upon the spirituality of the Hellenistic world or of the Greco-Roman world. They demonstrate an evolving understanding of the immortality of the soul, of the survival of an aspect of us beyond death, and also that it is possible through our own efforts and our own spiritual practice, not least being initiation in the mysteries and the practice of the spirituality attached to them, that we are able to survive. Now, whilst we can only speculate on the Eleusinian mysteries, and there is some excellent scholarship on this, it is speculation at best. But the Orphic mysteries, we do have a bit more evidence. Nothing concrete as to actual rituals, but we have the prayers. And we also have connections to the various incenses that were burned to the different gods based in the Orphic hymns, based upon Orphic symbolism. And we know that both the Eleusinian mysteries and the Orphic mysteries, and Orphism in general, both observed ritual dietary restrictions, not least being the ritual taking of barley. And in Orphism, we think at the very least the ritual practice of vegetarianism, if not the absolute practice of vegetarianism, and the role of the grape as being a sacred food. along with barley. In fact, sheaves of barley and clumps of grapes are in the traditional cornucopia, the sacred horn of plenty. But this might as much refer to a spiritual truth as to a need for physical sustenance. The two are usually very much linked. And so, looking at the Orphic hymns, we tend to think that the hymns were composed in the 2nd or 3rd centuries of the Common Era, and that they were generally written by the same person. There is a lot of feeling that it was between the 2nd and 5th centuries CE, though a lot of this is based simply upon linguistic study of the texts we have, which were most probably written somewhere between them, and there seems to have been a similarity in vocabulary to a 5th century poet called Nonnos. But this could just be stylistic. The actual hymns themselves are more than likely largely much more ancient than this. We don't know who made it, but we're pretty sure, based upon language and dating, that they were the product of a single person, most probably an educated, knowledgeable member of the cult who wrote these things down to preserve them as the knowledge was being lost, if not totally, lost to us. The Orphic mysteries, as we said, were celebrated in the city of Pergamum, and their sanctuary, much like the Eleusinian sanctuary, were public. But the celebration of the mysteries were private. The symbolism of the poppy and the barley hint at how ancient both of these mysteries actually were. Certainly the goddess Demeter goes back to Minoan times, and the symbolism of the poppy is very particular to Minoan civilization. The god Dionysius, despite the propaganda of poets such as Hesiod, was not a new god, was not a later addition, but was in fact incredibly ancient and can be traced back to ancient Minoa. And that both of these cults survived through the Mycenaeans, who valued them enough to keep them alive, and then was spread out with the migrations, eventually settling in Eleusis near Athens, where the Eleusinian mysteries were the purview of one particular family, as well as going to Pergamum, where Mycenaeans established their city and a kingdom, and established a shrine to Demeter, as well as a shrine to Dionysius, and to the celebration of the Orphic mysteries. Other than that, we don't know. We have fleeting references in classical texts. Certainly, there were references in the comedies of Aristophanes, but he treaded very, very carefully, as the danger of moving into sacrilege could bring on serious retribution, as Socrates was to find out. And the fact that both the Eleusinian mysteries and the Orphic hymns survived till so late speaks to the important pulse in human psychology that both of these mysteries represent. Both of them seems to involve entering the underworld and returning from there. And you could trace these back in many ways to the descent of Inanna, which was a ritual hymn and more than likely a ritual mystery practiced in ancient Sumeria and Akkad. But such links are speculative and not based upon any sound research as such. But there have been some wonderful translations of these of the Orphic hymns. And to connect ourselves to these mysteries, familiarizing ourselves with them is an important practice in resurrecting the mysteries hidden within. And whilst we cannot descend into the ritual space where these mysteries were celebrated, we can descend into their psychological equivalent, which is the psyche, which is the deeper aspects of our subconscious, and also into the realm of Nyx, which is the realm of our dreams. And so, as we are in the month when those consecrated to both of these mysteries would have been celebrating the joy that they had been revealed within themselves of the life everlasting brought on by the celebration of the mysteries, so can we walk this sacred journey. I am particularly in love with Patrick Dunn's translation of the Orphic Hymns, which is geared for occult practice, but there are some excellent translations. Any translation, however, and this is a personal peccadillo, that ever refers to the gods by their Roman names, I reject out of hand. This is a late 19th century affectation, and one of the preconditions of initiation into the Eleusinian mysteries, at the very least, was that you had to speak Greek, or at least understand enough Greek to take part in the ceremonies, and I would assume that would include using the names of the gods in their Greek form. But this is a personal peccadillo, and feel totally free to ignore it. However, most of the best translations tend to return to the Greek originals, rather than some of the later Latin copies of some of the texts, and then a 19th century copy which is based upon a Latin translation from a Greek text, which is way later than the living tradition. And so, in keeping with the spirituality, I randomly opened to a hymn, because it's important when we look at these hymns sometimes to get a sense of what they mean by also opening ourselves to them. And I randomly opened it, and strangely enough, it came to a hymn I'm not familiar with. But the moment I saw its title, reminded me of the humour of the divine. For hymn 41, for the mother, Antaia. Antaia is the name of a goddess. That goddess is Demeter. So, in the hymn, which I will read in English, it says in the guidance, which comes from the original document, that you can use aromatics. So floral scenting incenses are good. O Taia, the divine queen, many named, mother of both deathless gods and mortal humans, You once, wandering and seeking in sorrow, broke your fast in the valleys of Eleusis, and you came to Hades for noble Persephone, and you brought the holy child of Disulius as guide, the one who announced the holy union of the sacred subterranean Zeus. Because mortals needed him, you prepared the divine Eubolus. So I beseech that you, divine and much worshipped queen, come kindly to your pious initiate. I personally continue to find an unending font of inspiration and wisdom and enlightenment from these hymns. But I increasingly am becoming curious about the possibility of us resurrecting the initiate's path through these spiritual technologies, these hymns. And in so doing, not just recreating, but I would argue reawakening the spiritual links to a stream of human enlightenment and spirituality that has lain buried and yet has survived to this day. And I exhort those of you so inspired to also explore these great treasures, and if they speak to you, to make them live again in your own heart and upon your breath. And maybe before I pass into the initiate's journey, as I journey to my next life, I may be blessed by seeing the mysteries transformed, but reborn and alive. And so it is that I wish you an excellent march. I wish you protection and blessings. But above all, I wish you enlightenment and I wish you joy. I am Dr. Shimon de Valencia, but above all, I am a merry mystic, and I wish you all Namaste.